Hi, my name is Zach Wewell. I'm an attorney at Texas Trust Law working with my dad, Brad Wewell. If you're watching this video, it means that you own an entity, whether that's an LLC, corporation, partnership, any of those. And the purpose of this video is to educate you about this new massive law called the Corporate Transparency Act that very well might affect you. And in this video, we're going to go through the basics of the Corporate Transparency Act. We're not going to dive into a ton of detail about all the nuances because it is a very complex law. I'm just going to give an overview. But after watching this video, if you think you're subject to this law, please let us know right away. With that, the Corporate Transparency Act was passed January 1st, 2021. It's passed under President Trump, and it actually just went into effect January 1st of 2024, so a few weeks ago from the shooting of this video. This law, it's pretty draconian. It basically says if you have a business entity, you must register with the federal government, and if you don't, you are subject to very, very steep penalties. Now I'm going to talk you through each of those, but that is the overview of what's going on, why this is a big deal for so many of y'all. So with that, and I'll mention this more at the end, if you're interested in having us help you with this, we do have a program called Business Shield, where we are helping this with clients who have formed entities through us, entities that we have helped them form. If that's not you, or you maybe don't want our help, which is fine, please contact your funding coordinator so we can send you resources on things to look at, ideas to think about, and potentially resources to help you. So I'm going to go over the four main elements of the Corporate Transparency Act. First is a reporting company. If you are a reporting company, you are subject to this law. So what is a reporting company? Basically, it's every single company that's ever been formed, whether it's in Delaware, Texas, California. If you have submitted documents with that state's Secretary of State, you are subject to this law. Really, the only time if you're running a business that you're not subject to this law, if you've never formed a business ever, you're just kind of running everything in your own name. Now, there's a lot of issues with doing that, but if you do that, you're not subject to this law. There are a few exceptions of companies that are not subject to this law, even if they were formed with a state's Secretary of State. Most of these don't apply to most of y'all. Those exceptions are mainly for large companies or companies that are highly regulated by the federal government already. The main exception I just want to stick on is large companies. What is a large company? A large company is a company that has more than 20 employees and has more than $5 million in revenue. If you have both of those, you are not subject to this law. If you only have one of those or have neither of those, you are subject to this law. You are a reporting company, and you should continue to watch this video to get more educated about the Corporate Transparency Act. Now, a lot of y'all might say, well, I have an LLC and I haven't really done anything with it in the last decade. Well, there's an exception for that. The exception is as follows. The company was formed prior to 2020. There's been no ownership changes within the last 12 months. There's been active business or money exchange above $1,000 within the last 12 months, and the company cannot own any assets. Now, that's not most companies. That is companies with no bank accounts, no transfers, no nothing. It's just a shell. You haven't done anything with it for, at this point, over 4 years. Those are the main two exceptions. If you don't fit into those, again, you are a reporting company. You should listen to this video because you are going to be affected. So what's the second part of the Corporate Transparency Act? If you are a reported company, you must file an initial report. Again, that's an initial report. And that report is filed with an organization in the federal government called FinCEN. Again, that's FinCEN. And that report has to report certain information about certain owners, about the company, and about the company applicant, the person who formed the company. usually a CPA, a lawyer, but sometimes it could be you. So what owners need to report? That's what I'm going to focus on, is what owners need to report. Well, if you are an owner and you own more than 25% in the business, then you must report certain information. Again, more than 25%, you're subject to reporting. But some of y'all might own less than 25%. So, of course, Congress, in all of its wisdom, said that if you have what's called substantial control, you also must report, even if you have less than 25%. What is substantial control? We don't really know. It's clear in some cases, like if you're the CEO, CFO, like a C-suite executive, or you have certain management powers, power to manage lines of businesses, powers to do a lot of things. But the government included a catch-all, so anyone with perceived substantial control is subject to this law too. Again, even if you own less than 25%. This covers potentially trustees, this covers potentially beneficiaries, this covers everyone. The government is looking for a warm body. That's who they want to find. So with that, I'm going to give a brief example of some very, very common situations y'all might find yourselves in. First is husband and wife are married. They have a lake house or a ranch or a large investment account. They put it into an LLC for asset protection. Well, unless that LLC employs 20 people and has more than $5 million in revenue, this is a company that must be reported. Here's another example. One of y'all is the CEO of a small business. You own 70%. Your brother, sibling, whoever, they own 30%. Because you are the CEO, in and of yourself, you must report. Also, because you own 70%, that's another reason for you to report. Your brother must also report. Both of y'all are subject to these reporting requirements. Again, it's finding the warm body, the human, who has substantial control. Now, a lot of y'all are probably wondering, that doesn't sound too bad. What must I report? Well, basic information like the name of the company, any DBAs, doing businesses as, the EIN, the address of the company. You also must report information about yourself. Your address, your name, date of birth, and you got to upload a identifying document. Valid, keyword valid, driver's license, passport, something like that. Now, this is the tough part. The tough part is that it's not a one and done. The tough part is that you must periodically update this information if there's a change in this information. That's the third main part to this law. Say you move. If you move, you have, as a general rule, 30 days to report your new address to the federal government. If you get married or remarried and you change your last name, you have 30 days to report that to the federal government. If you make a transfer, whether it's a gift or a sale to a new owner, again, 30 days to report that transfer, or else penalties start to accrue. That's not a lot of time, which is why it's important for you guys to know that this law applies to you. So when do you have to report? That's the last main element of this. When, if you're subject to this law, do you have to file with the federal government? Well, it depends. If your company was formed before 2024, you have until all of 2024, you have until 2025 to get this report done. If your company was formed during 2024, so this year, you have 90 days to get this information in. Going forward, 2025 and onwards, you have 30 days upon formation to report this information to the federal government, or else, again, fines, penalties kick in. So, what are those fines? What are those penalties? $500 a day per entity that's in noncompliance. I'm a lawyer, not a mathematician, but I can do some quick math. And if you move and you forget to report your address for a year, that's potentially a $180,000 fine just because you didn't report an address. What else? There are also criminal penalties attached to this. We're not sure how strict they're going to be on enforcing it, but they're there, up to 2 years in jail. And I think it's pretty ridiculous, the jail time aspect of all this. I think a lot of this is ridiculous. But again, there's criminal penalties and there's steep civil penalties associated with this. So those are the basics of the Corporate Transparency Act. Again, this is a scary, scary thing. If you have a business and you're subject to this law, it's very scary. So what should you do? If you think you're subject to this law and you're interested in joining our Business Shield program, just let us know. Let your funding coordinator know. We'd be happy to send you more information on how to join that program, what it costs, what all we'd be doing for you. If you're not really interested in joining that, that's fine too. Still let us know, let your funding coordinator know. We can send you resources about the Corporate Transparency Act and about potentially other companies who might be able to help you do this. But I know some of our clients, you don't want someone else to do it. If you can do it, you're going to do it. There's also a lot of resources online you can access regarding the Corporate Transparency Act and how you yourself can comply with it. We're going to give you information about what's called the Small Business Compliance Guide. It's been given to us by the federal government telling you how to comply with this law. Now, the resource we're sending you to is about 30 pages long, and it's a little dense, but it has a lot of good information about, again, what this law is, how to get in compliance with it, and how to update it periodically. Because, again, that's the key. It's not a one and done. You have to update it as things change. Thank you guys for watching this video. I appreciate you guys and I appreciate your business. Again, any questions, please direct them to your funding coordinator, and we look forward to working with you guys on this issue. Thank you.